here's the deal. So the E. Jean Carroll thing, the way it worked out was the first case. He said, well, she came out in 2019, said that he raped her. He said she didn't. He didn't rape her. She's a liar. Defamed her. She sued him. Went to court. Jury found no, he did rape her, and he lied about it. And they fined him $5 million for the suit. Right. So they awarded her $5 million. Okay. That same night they got the judgment, he went on television, defamed her again, continued to defame her on his social network thing. She sued him again. They came back and said, well, look, we already determined he's a rapist. That's given. He raped her. He's a rapist. And he lied about it. Now you just got to determine what is the dollar amount that'll shut him up finally, because he won't stop. So they came back and said, okay, $83.3 million. And then he was quiet for several weeks, right? Now, what do you think the odds are he's going to do it a third time?
You like to think somebody's not going to do it a third time, but, this one, yeah, he doesn't learn.
Very stupid people.
So, here we go. It's sure enough, he did it a third time. And this is before he filed the judge. Can I get a stay on having to pay the $83 million? He did it. He defamed her before asking. He's just the gift that keeps on giving.
How about the one 2 weeks ago? A woman, I'm saying, who the hell is she? Who is the woman? It's so unfair what's happening in our country. Our court system is a mess. What's happening in our country, they have to straighten it out.
So the $83.3 million defamation verdict against Donald Trump was less than 30 days ago. It was handed down on January 26th of 2024. And Donald Trump could not make it 30 days. And then he had to once again defame E. Jean Carroll. That clip I just shared with you was...
So he did it again. I love this guy. So now she's got a third lawsuit. And her attorney's filing it right now. So what do you think 200 million, 300 million? What are they going to do next time? He just can't.
God, they need to start a business of just filing lawsuits about the same damn thing after him again, because A, it's a full-time job, and B, this is a job that pays well.
He just can't keep...
Except he's running out of money or ran out of money.
He just cannot stop himself from fucking up. So, and he's trying to appeal New York, and he doesn't have a bond, and that's not going to go anywhere. And Goran's going to shoot that down. Now, he doesn't really have the money. He doesn't have the donors coming in. Obviously, he can't pay it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be asking for these stays. He'd just put up the money and appeal it, right? And hope he wins an appeal, which he probably won't. But still, that's what I'd be doing. But instead, he doesn't have. If you don't have the money, I need more time. I need more time. Well, why does he need more time? Where's he going to get all this money from? Well, potentially he could get it from his donors. And we're going to go to this clip here from Jake Tapper, where they talk about this, because he could potentially get some money from not campaign money.
But... We're back with our breaking news. Former President Trump has been ordered to pay nearly $355 million in his New York civil fraud case. Let's discuss with our panel, Adrian Elrod, how you think Trump is going to react to this bad news for him.
Oh, I don't think he's going to react positively at all, Jake. I mean, we've seen the way he's reacted in some of the other cases against him. But, look, I'm looking at this from the standpoint of how are the voters going to react? How is the average swing independent voter that will ultimately decide this election, how are they going to react? And I think when you look at all of these legal cases stacked up against Trump, from E. Jean Carroll to this case, to the trial in Georgia, to the overall trial that's coming up in a couple months, it all stacks up not looking very favorably toward Trump when it comes to his reelection chances.
Alice, how do you think Republican officials are going to react? Is this just going to be more of the witch hunt refrain?
Absolutely. And we were already hearing that from Trump's attorneys, that this is injustice and a witch hunt and weaponization of the legal system. And Republicans that support Donald Trump, which is most of them, will rally behind him and continue that dialogue. And look, this is plain and simple. Donald Trump's brand as a successful businessman built him up, and his brand as hostile under fire brought him down in this case. And the judge repeatedly said that his lack of contrition and remorse is a big factor in his decision-making process. But the fact that he went so high with this number is really going to frustrate Trump's base and really embolden them to buy into the baseless claims that all of these legal issues are part of this big witch hunt. They're not looking at each of these cases individually and each of the outcomes.
Yeah, but she's talking about his base, and the thing about it is it's a kind of a worthless analysis from her, because his base is going to stay with him no matter what happens, right? And even then, we know that he's bleeding off a lot of the normal Republicans, so he's not getting the crowds and whatnot anymore. It's just the diehards, and it's like, yeah, they're going to be that way, but who gives a shit? It doesn't really. I mean, you're never going to switch them anyway, so who cares? Why are we playing to them? We already know their answer,
Right.
But the third woman's response, I think, is the woman on the far right. Her response is actually the best one here.
Individually, they are buying into Trump's lie that all of this is part of an overzealous prosecution and justice system that is clearly out to get him because he is the main challenger.
So she can't wait to speak
to
here.
Joe Biden, and this will further embolden Republicans. I'm not sure it's going to be so helpful in the general election, but it's certainly going to embolden the base right now.
And Gloria, Trump claimed his Mar-a-Lago resort was worth more than $1 billion.
Right.
The judge says this was fraudulent because first it would require him to list Mar-a-Lago as a private residence, which the deed prohibits, and second, a $1 billion valuation is 400% more expensive than the most expensive private residence in the United States of America. So that's a classic Trump exaggeration in business form, and it really speaks to who he is and why the judge said you're not going to get away with it this time.
Exactly. You know, this is a man who went into his father's business, which was in Queens, and made a name for himself, taking it into Manhattan, and was kind of the golden boy. And that's how he has always seen himself, as somebody who can make multi-millions of dollars, and nobody can ever challenge that. And what's happened with this case is that it looks like...
What was that?
They looked like a couple in that picture.
I know, they're
totally
creepy.
weirded out.
They're totally creepy.
Anyways,
so
it was
creepy.
a house of cards. And, you know, he has testified publicly that he was sitting on $400 million in cash. Let's see, as you were talking to Jamie before, whether he has that money to pay what he now has to pay. And this goes to his whole persona and the way he views, not only the way he wants the public to view him, but it's the way he actually views himself. He doesn't want anyone to be his boss. They've said that a babysitter, has to continue to babysit the business, and he doesn't want anybody to have any control. And they haven't paid attention to the one they've had there in the meantime, the judge said. So, you know, this strikes at his very heart. Like, this is his business, and nobody's going to tell him what to do, and nobody's going to tell him he did anything wrong.
So, Adrian...
So, she makes a good point. He's not going to comply. He doesn't really have the money. We'll see if he does, but clearly he doesn't because he's trying to delay everything. And he can't really get into that. Now, I think they're going to get into it here. Can he use campaign money? And that might be why he's delaying. Can he use some of his PAC money and campaign money to pay for it? Well, if he can get a delay, then he has time to raise more money. And that might be what's going on here. And that's kind of what I wanted to get to here. But I wanted to hear those parts first because it's an interesting, we have the one analysis. Well, it's going to further up his base. Fucking, they're already there. And then the woman on the far right in the red, Gloria, she was like, yeah, but this is more about his psychology and him always wanting to be perfect. And he cannot accept that he's lost. And so he's going to keep twisting the knife until he kills himself. And I think she's right. I think she's absolutely right about that.
Elrod, Trump and his associates have been saying for a long time that, you know, Joe Biden is behind this, even though there's obviously no evidence that the Biden administration had anything to do with this. This is brought by the New York Attorney General. The case did not have the outcome Trump wanted. He plans to appeal. What would you advise Democrats to do about this case, if anything? Just let the story speak for itself, or should they seize on it, talk about what a fraud he is. What are the...
Skip ahead a little bit.
Democrats, and I think this is what you're seeing a lot of Democrats do. I would just sit back and not get engaged in this.
Pay this $355 million fine using funds from his leadership PAC, Save America, since Save America's operated separately from authorized campaign committees. We should note that other legal troubles, he has a lot, have whittled that fund down from about $50 million to about $5 million, according to his latest legal filing. He will keep fundraising off of this legal loss, no doubt. But how will he balance the need to pay for his legal bills versus the need to pay for his campaign, and also not be seen as somebody who uses his campaign donors to pay for these legal excesses?
Well, Dick, first, I wouldn't classify a character as much as using campaign donors. These are willing Republicans that are more than happy to donate their money for his.
Well, and she just disproved her own point there, which is they're already fucking 100% in. They'll give him money for everything. Right. The other thing about it is he makes a good point there. Last year, he blew $50 million in attorney fees. And he only had the one case at the end of the year, which was in Goron's, and it bled into this year. So there's that one. There was the E. Jean Carroll case this year. Plus, he's got 4 more criminal trials coming up, plus a bunch of other lawsuits. So I'm betting his attorney fees this year are going to be well over $100 million. On top of the almost $600 million he's going to owe for all this other shit. So he's in it for $700 million, close to $750 million. And there's and right now his campaign fund, like he said, is around $5 million is all he's got left in his PAC.
Yeah, I mean, and quite frankly, like, you know, any money that's donated is supposed to be used for the campaign, but quite frankly, would you really trust that that was where your money was
going? No.
Gonna go? Like, when somebody is in so deep into this financial pit, it would be really hard to be donating money to a thing of theirs and feel real confident about where that money was going to go, you know?
Right. The PAC money he can use for the legal fines. There's nothing against that. Campaign money is a little bit stricter. He could probably use some of it, but it'd have to be really specific. So we'll see about how that all plays out. But honestly, it looks like he doesn't have the money. And it looks like he's trying to delay to see if he can raise more money. But even then, he's not raising money. And not nearly enough to cover this. So, yeah, I think he's just fucked. I mean, there's kind of no other way to spin it. I don't know how else to...
It's sort of like in The Wizard of Oz when they throw the water on her.
Oh, yeah? I'm melting.
She's going down, but she's screaming like she still somehow has some control she can grab.
Right.
But really, she's just gone.
It's over. What a whirl, what a whirl. Here we go.
We cannot let it continue. We are...
I'm sorry. We're going to have a lot more fun with those sound effects going forward.